Today on NewsWatch, Election Day is finally here. We'll break down what's ahead as Americans head to the polls. Plus, ISIS is being driven from Mosul. But is there hope for their Christian victims? Why some say those Christian refugees are not being given a shot at safety in America. And a second chance. See how one man is helping felons rebuild their lives, providing jobs when no one else would. Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Lori Johnson. Election Day 2016 is finally here, and polls show a very tight race. National polls show Hillary Clinton ahead of GOP rival Donald Trump, but the two candidates are in a dead heat in several key battleground states. Charlene Aaron has the story.
Election Day voting officially kicked off at the stroke of midnight, as it always does, in the small community of Dixville Notch, New Hampshire. Clinton has a slight lead in the average of the most recent polls from the last few days. Still, the race has gotten tighter in key battleground states like Florida and Pennsylvania, among others. But many analysts still give Hillary Clinton the advantage in the Electoral College. Trump has focused on must-win swing states he needs to get the 270 electoral votes necessary to take the White House. Late last night, the two candidates made their final appeals to Americans to come out to vote.
So it's now officially Tuesday, November 8th.
Tell you, this is sure worth staying up for.
Trump made closing arguments in Michigan, calling on supporters to beat the corrupt system.
Today is our Independence Day. We will make America safe again, and we will make America great again.
Just after midnight, Clinton held her final rally in North Carolina, urging voters to embrace a hopeful, inclusive, big-hearted America.
There is no reason, my friends, why America's best days are not ahead of us if we reach for them together.
And the nation will not only elect a new president, but potentially change the direction of the country by retaining or dismantling Republican control of the Senate. Contests in New Hampshire, Nevada, North Carolina, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania could well go down to the wire. All 5 of those races are within several percentage points and appear too close to call. Meanwhile, Trump and Clinton, after crisscrossing the country, are back in their home state of New York to cast their ballots, now leaving the final decision up to voters. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
More than 500 staffers from the Justice Department will be monitoring the polls today while people vote. Those staffers have been dispatched to 67 jurisdictions and will be watching for civil rights violations, including racial discrimination. The announcement comes amid rising concerns about voter intimidation. In 2012, about 780 monitors were dispatched. This year, that number is down by about 35%. The Justice Department officials say they hope voters will not detect any difference in the federal presence. On Capitol Hill, a number of pastors and Christian groups have been praying around the clock, seeking God for America's future in the lead up to Election Day. Organizers believe that prayer, not politics, is the only hope and answer to America's problems. Here's a snapshot of their prayers.
Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then God says, I will hear from heaven. So we're here tonight, not to pray for any candidate or to pray against any candidate. We're here for God to intervene once again.
And we understand, God, that you are the God who ordains world leaders. Hosea 4:8-4 says, they set up kings without my consent. They choose princes without my approval. So Father God, I pray tonight oh God, create in us, create in your church, create in your believers a clean heart and renew a right spirit within us. So leaders, oh God, will be chosen that meet your approval.
And this election, this year, the 2016 election, is by far the most important ever in the history of America, because it will determine whether or not America has a future or not. America cannot survive more years like the most recent years we've had in terms of turning away from God, failing to stand with Israel, violating the definition of marriage, killing babies in the womb.
Never before in our history have we seen so many rights removed, rights that were implemented into the foundation of this nation for that very purpose of having religious freedom. So this is a moment when we need to not be silent, to speak up, and to give our voice through our vote to the candidate that we feel God has is presenting us at this time to lead us into righteousness.
And be sure to check with CBN News throughout the day. You can follow our election reporting online all night. That's on Twitter, Facebook, and the CBN News channel. We'll have updates and analysis with live programs on Facebook and our website starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we'll have a special election update edition of the 700 Club at 11 Eastern on the ABC Freeform cable channel. You'll be able to see that online as well as on CBNNews.com. Many Christian refugees from Iraq and Syria don't believe they can ever go home. The number of refugees America should accept has been controversial. One expert suggests the American people should get to decide which refugees and how many are let in. White House correspondent Jennifer Wishon explains.
The United States has now welcomed more than 13,000 refugees fleeing Syria. Amid all the concerns about radical Islamic infiltrators, some suggest the American people should have a say in who gets in.
It's our country, it's our house. We decide to whom to open the doors. We decide to whom to offer a meal and maybe a bedroom. I think, of course, that should go without saying, but doesn't.
In his recent article, Coming to America, May writes that he disagrees with those who want to close off America's borders completely, but thinks prioritizing who gets to come in by considering what's best for America is smart policy, especially when you consider that of the first 11,000 Syrians invited to live in America, only 56 of them are Christian.
Both houses of Congress and the Obama administration have recognized that genocide is taking place in the Middle East. They've designated that there are victims of genocide. Genocide means whole communities being targeted for extermination. It seems to me once you agree and understand that these communities are facing genocide, you need to prioritize those victims. And that means they get to the front of the line.
It's inaction that runs counter to U.S. policy, not to mention immoral, when you consider the lessons of World War II, Bosnia, and Rwanda. Instead, the U.S. has designated Christians in Syria and northern Iraq as suffering, but told them they'll have to get in line. And even that isn't as easy as it may sound.
They're afraid to go to the camps the UN has set up. It's not the UN's fault exactly, but they are not protected in those camps from Islamic State infiltrators, from criminal gangs, and from other people in the camp who may be hostile to Christians for all sorts of reasons.
Some members of Congress are working on giving Christians alternative routes into the U.S. In the meantime, though, allowing more Christian refugees could give Americans peace of mind.
Al-Qaeda, the Islamic State, these are not equal opportunity employers. They don't employ Christians, so it's easier to vet Christians because Christians are not going to come here in order to become suicide bombers for ISIS or Al-Qaeda. That doesn't work that way.
The Christian communities in the Middle East now under attack have survived centuries of hardships. And May says the idea that they could be wiped out in a generation is terrible. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
Up next, 1 in 3 adults in the U.S. has a tough time finding work because of a criminal record. Stay tuned to see how one employer is changing that trend through coffee. Believe it or not, 1 in 3 adults can't get a job in the U.S. because they have a criminal record. Even when they do get work, it rarely matches their skills and interests. As Heather Sells shows us, statistics like that drove a Chicago software engineer to start I Have a Bean, a coffee roasting company to hire former felons.
Pete Leonard first developed a love for fresh roasted coffee during a missions trip to Brazil. After returning home, he made his own roaster in his Weber grill. Around the same time, he noticed a relative out of prison and unable to find work.
And I watched what happened to him from getting out of the prison system and then trying to get back into normal society, and it was virtually impossible.
And Leonard's loved one isn't the only one facing this uphill battle. More than 70 million Americans have a criminal background, and Dr. Karen Swanson, who leads the Institute of Prison Ministries at Wheaton College, finds most employers simply don't want to hire them.
If they check the box that asks if they have a felony record or criminal record, then many employers just throw the application out.
Pete Leonard's solution: take advantage of America's love for coffee by creating a coffee roasting company and hire former felons to run it.
We choose coffee rated in the top 1% from a quality standpoint, and we employ people who have a felony conviction on their record to do all of the work.
It's a match made in coffee heaven. U.S. prisons release more than 500,000 people each year, and at the same time, Americans are drinking 400 million cups of coffee a day, driving specialty sales up 20%. One of Leonard's early hires, Louis Dooley, left prison after serving time for armed robbery and attempted murder.
It was scary, it was difficult, and I just wanted to go back in because I didn't know how to cope. I didn't know how to live out here. I couldn't find a job. That was the biggest thing.
Louis became a believer and worked hard to turn his life around while behind bars. Still, no employer would take a chance.
Once I explained the nature of my offense, they were just like, we can't hire you. So I understood. I probably wouldn't hire someone like me either. No work experience, 35 years old. I got robberies, attempted murder. In my background, I'm not the ideal or model employee that you want to have.
Amy ran into similar dead ends. In addition to a banking resume, her paperwork included a white-collar crime conviction. Neither applicant could get past a small box. It's on most applications and must be checked for a criminal record or conviction.
Companies say that they hire, people with records, etc. But no, it's been filled. You just don't even get an interview. You don't even get in the door.
But at I Have a Bean, both Amy and Louis got in the door.
We all make mistakes. Some of us go to prison for them. Others of us should have gone to prison, didn't. And others just skate by. The fact is, it really puts us all in the category of sinners. So we're not concerned with what you did then. What we're concerned with is, who are you today?
Not every hire is out of prison, but in the past 9 years, Leonard has hired 35 people with a background. And today, all but 2 are the success stories he believed could happen. This positive result is no accident. Leonard carefully vets each employee. He finds out if they've worked to rebuild their lives while behind bars and whether they've stuck to that path after leaving. He's also a stickler for quality.
I want our employees to be understanding that the reason we're able to pay them a salary is because they produce great product, not because we've guilted somebody in the public to donating money to us because we have a great mission.
Leonard is more than a boss, he's a witness, watching his employees transform from down and out to confident and marketable. Today, Louis oversees a ministry for inmates, and Amy manages the front office for I Have a Bean. Dr. Swanson believes this concept could become a game changer for millions who need a second chance.
This is a great opportunity for the church and the Christian community to help formerly incarcerated people to become entrepreneurs or to hire them.
That experience can lead not just to increased marketability, but to a shot at restoration and a new, productive life. Reporting in Wheaton, Illinois, Heather Sells, CBN News.
Coming up, God in Gotham. If you're tired of the harsh election season and the constant flood of bad news in our world, we've got a story that will lift you up for a change. Stay tuned. God is moving all around America, even in New York City, one of the least religious cities in the U.S. Our sister news organization, FaithWire, brings us this uplifting look at what God is doing in Gotham.
There is a movement happening, and it's happening the last place that you'd expect. An insane amount of people, young people, millennials, are flocking to church here in New York City. So today I'm taking you to where I go to church. It's called C3 Brooklyn in Williamsburg, which, if you know, Williamsburg is kind of like the hipster capital of America. We're going to meet up with my pastor, Josh Kelsey, and just hang out and see what's happening.
Josh Kelsey. I get the privilege of being the lead pastor and planting pastor of C3 Brooklyn. I have a bit of a history with New York. I grew up here from 7 till 16. Really love the place, saw the need, and particularly in Williamsburg where we are right now, a lot of people told us this is the graveyard of churches, you know, don't go there, all the hipsters won't want to come to church. We thought that's the best place to be where no one wants to go to church.
Were you expecting to find this up here in New York City?
I didn't really have any expectations, but I was looking for community for sure. And so C3 has definitely been a blessing because it was everything that I was looking for.
Church for me used to be a place where I felt like I always had to be perfect. And C3 allows me to embrace my imperfections and know that God still loves me regardless. So it's changed my image about church because I know I can still be a human with flaws and still be loved by God, which is not an idea I had before.
Just thinking about what the people go through day to day to make it in New York City, it really shapes our message. We're not coming in with something that's going to discourage them, but rather lift their eyes to who Jesus is. And if we do it from a place of humility and empathy, then people are receptive to it. Even if they've never heard it before, or maybe they come in thinking this is irrelevant, once they sense the presence of God and they sense the community and they sense the fellowship, they really do open up to what God is about.
Just a reminder that it's election day, so don't forget to pray first and then head to the polls because your vote matters. And once again, be sure to check with CBN News throughout the afternoon and evening. You can follow our election reporting online on Twitter, Facebook, and the CBN News channel, where we'll have updates and analysis starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we'll have a special election update edition of the 700 Club at 11 Eastern on the ABC Freeform cable channel. You'll be able to see that online as well at cbnnews.com. That's it for now on CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here. You can do that on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day, everyone.